Are you ready for relevant news, reports, information, and a splash of entertaining ideas based on real estate? You have arrived in a great space. Here is C. Chambers, licensed real estate sales and content creator, helping you with the keys to open doors of new opportunities. And now, let's go get 'em, C. Welcome, Sunspotter. Are you
How you guys doing? This is C. Chambers, of course, from the Sunspot Living. Just spotting the sun where you are, and that's a beautiful thing, right? What we do here is trade off information in the real estate industry and things that are akin to them. You know, everything from interior decorating to the latest news. As you see, there's a lot of things moving around in the New York City area, and of course the greater land abroad, where we cover some things that are definitely relevant to what the cause of learning this stuff is. Right now, the mortgage rates are at 6.84%. I told you everything has been hovering around that. This has been the lowest it's been since April, and the highest it went was 7.04. And there's a lot of volatility going on, but if you have a decent investment plan, a decent economic profile, income, and everything, you should fare out pretty well. These are some great times, but also some very unsure territory going on, right? So you see, hopefully I get this right with my lighting. As you see, there's a report that I put up about the vacant apartments around the city. Tens of thousands of them is the report, right? And this has been in the news before, earlier this year, around February, and it basically was talking about how rent-stabilized apartments were being held, from the public, not being renovated as well, because that would actually make some landlords lose money.
This is one of 100,000 vacant apartments in New York City.
Wow.
I first made this video 6 years ago thinking, okay, the following year they'll renovate it and it'll be occupied, but 6 years later still vacant. And there's about 100 other apartments like this that are vacant because of this rent law that was passed in 2019.
What's the law?
So essentially this is a rent stabilized apartment and the landlords can't increase the rent on the apartment because of the law that was passed. It's not in there, it doesn't financially make sense. For example, the law used to be you can increase the rent 1/40th of the renovation cost, and now it's 1/116th. So if they put in, let's say, $100,000, they can barely increase the rent. So they're like, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't make financial sense. I'll just let it sit vacant. Let's say they did renovate this apartment and they increased the rent a little bit. It would still be rent stabilized and it would make their building less valuable.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Can you even sell this place?
It doesn't have the most value right now. I'm sure it's at some point the law will change back and you'll be able to renovate it again. But right now, this is just going to sit vacant until the law changes. New York City becomes more and more unaffordable every single day because more and more apartments become vacant. People move out and then they're not being renovated.
This is the crossroads that we're on right now. There's a lot of morality that comes into play, of course, but that's definitely an economic situation. We're at the crux of it now. So I want to go through this report, this article. Then I'm going to show you something else that coincides with that. Also, want you to definitely understand where you sit in the game. We just spoke about the FAIR Act, and that's the Fair Apartment Rental Expensive Act, where for the most part, the person that hires the agent and broker are the ones that pay that agent and broker. In something like this situation, you might need one. Of course you can go about it on your own, the traditional way, but what that opens up is those blind spots that you don't see, those off-market, those exclusives, negotiations that you can do with certain buildings, and also those baked-in fees that people have been talking about. They said there's been a 15% hike on lots of rents because of the announcement of the FAIR Act. People are going to find their way to get that money. My position is to find that way to get your housing journey on the right start to finish. We want to make sure that we can finalize the process and there's no buyer's remorse. Everybody can be satisfied. Basically a mutual agreement between all of us. And then, from that, you can see the value of what having a representative like that is for, and what it's about. So let's go into the article. I definitely want to highlight this. Hope you can see it. Vacant apartments, questionable spending plague. Some New York City affordable housing audit finds. Okay, this is June 10th. David Brand is the one. A troubling number of apartments are sitting empty in many of the city's Mitchell-Lama affordable housing complexes. Some left vacant for years, according to the new report from the state comptroller. Offices of Comptroller Tom DeNapoli's office reviewed conditions at 4 housing complexes in the state's Mitchell-Lama program 2 years after 2023 audit uncovered dangerous living conditions. And like I said, there's a couple of moving parts that's going on here. Okay, there's that, the vacancy, and there's also that they're not tending to those vacancies to get them up to living conditions. There are many people out here that would love an apartment and can actually pay for it. Questionable spending, scores of empty units, and limited oversight by the Division of Homes and Community Renewal, HCR. I try to find a lot of apartments through HCR. I believe they used to be CSR. Okay, part of the CSR. A CRS, pardon me, leasing. The state agency overseeing the developments, the Mitchell-Lama program provides housing for low and middle income renters and owners. Remember, there's always been a stereotype on low and income renters, and that has to stop. I mean, but I do get it, and I'm gonna show a couple of clips. Hopefully they'll work. And if not, I'll just do a whole nother video about it. That's the position of the landlord, is to make sure that you're able to give these services out, give this apartment out, even a piece of your home out, for a qualified and responsible renter, and that when their term is up, they can deliver it to you in a great state where it's not so much renovation that has to be done. The wear and tear is normal, and you can net a great profit. But we also have seen that, you can run into hoarders, you can run into they would call it. You got hoarders, you got people that are very destructive, unforeseen circumstances. People with past in apartments. And these things, are some of the pitfalls of being management company and landlord. You're gonna contend with that. You're gonna contend with people that are, not able to pay on time, delinquent. Instead of suffering a loss, we would like to try to get that apartment above board, on code, and profitable in the least amount of time. Another reason why it's great to hire an agent or a broker, so we can find these people and match them up properly, and not to offend anyone. Sometimes the person may not be fit for that place. They can go to another place, and they're going to need somebody to help them with that. This is a guiding system. The follow-up review found many of those problems still persist at Jamie Towers and Finlay House in the Bronx, Cathedral Parkway Towers in Manhattan, and 753 Classen Housing Company in Brooklyn. This is just the Mitchell-Lama program. All right. The office singled out 620-unit Jamie Towers, where residents have faced 56% maintenance cost increases over the past 2 years. more people are paying for the maintenance on those apartments that could be filled. The report found that roughly 1 out of every 10 apartments was empty in April, depriving New Yorkers of needed housing and suppressing building revenue despite long wait lists. That's what the audit shows in the Gothamist. Let me stop sharing my screen. And that's just to show you what's going on there. Hope I can get this off the screen. Okay, there we go. That's just to show you what's going on there with the Mitchell landmark. Now we're going to fast forward to the rent board approved. Okay, I'm going to go to that real quick. Just give me a second. Share my screen. Rent board. Okay, let me get right to it. I'm gonna make sure don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. There we go. There we go. I'm gonna make sure that you see this. Okay. The rent board approves increases of 3 to 4.5%. This happened just this week. Okay. Early, right on Monday. The increase is the fourth under Mayor Adams and impacts nearly 1 million stabilized units. So you're thinking about people that had, their rent stabilized for years, and then this increase hits. What do you do? Especially now, if you looked at the last bit of information I shared, where just a couple of rent climbs we're almost at 40%. What do they call it? It's the debt income ratio is very critical right now. Some people were at 40%, moving towards 50%. Landlord said the rent hikes are not enough to offset a surge in building operating costs. Everything is going up. Mom Donnie is one of the people that are advocating the rent freeze. Also Chiasi, who's the one that spearheaded the Fair Act in favor of the tenants because of these rising rents, while at the same time the income line has stayed stagnant. And if people don't have enough money to live, it gets incredibly worse. And then you might have an exodus, provided there's jobs elsewhere, and that's the situation. So rent freeze, and you see these town halls and these the rent guidelines boards and things usually get hectic. People all over the place. So this is a slim vote. 5-4 vote was met with boos and jeers from tenants and audience. Let's read into it. Like I said, this is by Celia Young, very credible. Like some of the information she gives, she's always on it. By a 5-4 vote, the Rent Guidelines Board last night approved increases of 3% for 1-year leases and up to 4.5% for 2-year leases. The decision impacts New York City's nearly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments and applies to new leases and renewals occurring on or after October 1st, 2025, later this year, going through to September 30th, the next year, 2026. Okay, the board has considered ranges of 1.75 to 4.75% for 1-year leases and 3.75 to 7.75% for 2-year leases. The latter range was lowered 1% It's 1% during a rare revote in May. Okay. More than 100 tenants gathered outside the RGB's final vote on Monday evening this week at El Museo del Barrio in East Harlem to demand that the rent enact no increases and freezes the rent. The campaign slogan for Queens State Assembly member Zoran Mamdani, the first mayoral candidate to support rent freeze. So this is pivotal, especially with his run for the mayor's office, and the views that he has is very progressive. It's founded on very grassroots level, and it's not to take away the power, but this is where the people are speaking out because they overwhelmingly chose him, and this is a cry out for help. At least raise the salaries, at least understand that people need to live so they can work. There's a great amount of people that need to do this. They're actually plenty of people. Mamdani, the winner of the Democratic primary, has also pledged to freeze the rent for all 4 years of his administration. Now, that is a key incentive for many tenants that live in the city. Just saying. Celebratory mood. The mood outside where the vote was being held was celebratory thanks to Mamdani's victory, despite expectations that the mayoral appointed board would proceed with raising rents for the 4th year in a row. Real estate is mad. Eric Adams is mad. This is Joanne Grell. She's a rent-stabilized tenant in the Bronx, member of the New York State tenant block. Okay, these are some of the things if you're a prospective renter, prospective tenant, that you want to get involved with the advocacy. You go to some of these meetings, you meet some of the people. Back in the days, I used to go to tenant association meetings, New York Housing. I've been to a couple of town hall meetings and symposium. And this is before I really got into real estate, but it also, fueled my fire. I wanted to see, how people were thinking in certain critical times, and was able to set up with certain people. I'll talk about that story another time. But, you get to see the differences of viewpoints, and also, the frustration, and like you said, also those moments when you really get a win. So they feel they got to win with Mamdani understanding. Excuse me. Okay, as a tenant, I don't have to follow the data to know a rent freeze is necessary because I am the data. That was good. Said by Esteban Giron, a tenant organizer in Crown Heights Tenants Unit. 5-4, slim vote. Okay. Go further down, hope you see that. So Mamdani is bringing hope. Freezing the rent is an option. Many landlords and others are against it. They feel like they said the building expenses keep going up. What's going to offset that? Well, from the previous article that I just spoke about, the Mitchell and Lambert situation is not just exclusive to Mitchell and Lambert. Many people are you want to get the most bang for your buck, right? So you want to make sure the candidates for the apartment can actually pay for the rent, and if they're going through the city, that their payments are on time. It's all about making a dollar, for that side. There are some good management companies and landlords that are out to help, assist the homeless, and they actually happen to get paid, considerable amount. But their first intention is to say, I got enough and I'm willing to give. So not everybody's evil, So I think I covered that 3 episodes ago about some of the worst landlords. And there's another one that's out there too. Hopefully I can go through it. But I definitely want you to go to, you can go to the Gothamist for this information. City Limits is another one. All right. You get off the screen. And it goes to show that, there's a lot going on right now. A lot to consider. Let me vibe up. Because then you run into stuff like this, right? You run into stuff like this. Just a couple of slides where construction is not up to par. And you feel that, this can be done better. This right here can be done better. It's a door. And then as soon as you open the door, the sink is right there. Like, what can you do with that? Somebody left this little nugget right here, which is going to cost a lot of money to, put back in order. Left Rack City is a big complex. It's mostly co-op here in northeast Queens. All right, and it's been known to house people from low income to middle income to people doing fairly well, depending on what side of the complex you're on. But this doesn't show how much that person was making and stuff like that. Just know that they had to leave and they decided to leave it like this. Frustration knows no race. If you're frustrated, chances are you're going to get situations like this. Another thing is mental health knows no race. Maybe people that would be seriously depressed and they start to hoard and things start to pile up. Next thing you know, you got 10 years of garbage on your hand. This is what landlords don't want to encounter. And that's why it's present to have people come out on your behalf, do wellness checks, but not cross the line of the privacy. The person should be able to dwell freely in their environment. It's rough. It's rough. And these are the things you should look out for as a renter as well. Does this person respect my privacy? Oh, this is the other one I wanted to show. Somebody actually did this in an apartment. This is a sink on top of the toilet. I don't know what you want to do with that. I mean, it's multitasking at its finest. You shrink the place up. You just got the one. I don't know. All right, but I do want to show this one as well. Hopefully you can see this. And it's just like a gift of, can I get it bigger than this? Let's see. Matter of fact, let me maximize this. Bam, right in the middle. Yeah. It has like a little, let me give rid of this slideshow real quick. This one has like a little cupboard. It's loading up now. How's this going to work? You got the sink right there, the front door's right there. The guy was on the bed, or the futon actually. Just have to load up a little bit more. Yeah. How do you get that to work? Okay, this is taking too long. Let's go right here. It's stuck. Okay. I'm not going to dwell too much on that, but you get to see the different stories right there. One more thing I want to cover, if I can. Can I share the media? Yeah, let's do that. All right. And if you can, just like, comment, share the video if you can. That'd be appreciated. Oh my God. Lack of sleep will do it to you. And thank you for all that have been reaching out with your great comments, great considerations. Okay, I forgot. Great considerations. This is by Will B. Asterby, also known as at my best 187 on Instagram. He has chunk fulls of real estate information, and the way he approaches it as it's a tough, on the line, no holds barred way of dealing with it. You either get the system when you don't. He shows you the ugly side of the game, and let me put this there. Talk about it.
Everybody wants the glam of real estate, but nobody wants the grind. So let me be the first one to tell you, there is no such thing as beauty without pain in real estate. You see the cash flow, you see the renovated kitchens, you see the vacation photos and think, wow, I want that life. But what you didn't see was me sleeping in a car outside of one of my properties because the contractor didn't show up. What you didn't see was the $30,000 mistake that I made when I trusted the wrong person. What you didn't see was the pain that I had to endure. Real estate will break you before it blesses you. It will test your patience, your pockets, and your peace of mind. And if you think you're gonna slide into this business with no scars, you ain't ready for the beauty. Because every beautiful deal that I've ever touched had some kind of ugly behind it. A permit issue, a nightmare tenant, one of my budgets exploding like a grenade, that's real. But the truth is, this business will humble you before it feeds you. You might literally bleed for that first flip. You might even cry for that first cash out refinance. But if you can hold on through that pain, you earn that kind of beauty that will never fade. So don't just chase the shine, respect the struggle that built it. There's no beauty without pain, especially when it comes to real estate.
No, wrong one. God, dog it. Beautifully put. And for many of you that, may have that money to rent out, you can actually fare better if you're able to, gather some more up and buy something. And buying something, you acquire not just that place, but also accumulate some equity that you can leverage with, other things that you would like to do, and maybe get to the process where you invest a little more, get some more money for yourself, and then pass on the experience. Now somebody's renting from you. They're paying the mortgage or paying 75% of the mortgage and up. These things, start to transpire when you, start to be more educated and get more resources available to you. Okay. I definitely wanted to cover that. I can cover one more thing in bricks, maybe. Just give me 1 second. Because there's a lot going on. Let's go to the market. Rebate on real estate commission. When I buy an apartment in NYC. Let me see if I can share this with you guys. Then we're on our way. Stop. Let's go here. Add it. Make sure you can see it. Voila. And let me go through it. Sales market, something I just mentioned, and this is for those that are on the verge. They got enough money, enough a good portfolio. Credit is great, and you can actually walk into a new experience instead of renting. This is old, but it still applies. All right. Can I get a rebate on the real estate commission when I buy an apartment in NYC? Is the commission negotiable? Okay, that's cool, but let's go to this one. All right. New York City neighborhoods with median prices more than doubled in the past decade. I covered that. If you do follow me on the Dub community that we're in, that means I actually have your email address and I'm sending you exclusive information as well. You probably got in touch with one of the post reviews of the New York City market. All right, let's get to this one. This one is something I wanted to go into. All right. What is the best way to find an NYC apartment before it's listed for sale? Okay. Before it's listed for sale. Am I still sharing? Good. This is written by Triplement. My partner has been looking for a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom, 1.5 plus bathroom on the Upper West Side. The number of available apartments in our price range is 1.5 million to 1.7 million. It's shockingly low. Come on. Shockingly low. Whenever we do find something that doesn't need a big renovation or have super high carrying charges, we get outbid. I've heard about whisper and pre-market listings. Those are a thing. This is why having an agent or a broker is a competitive advantage over others with the same criteria, searching just like you are, but doing it the more traditional way by going at it alone. Are those a good way to find apartments that owners may be open to selling but aren't on the market yet? That's the key. I just spoke to somebody about this. With the New York City housing inventory still historically anemic, your experience is all too common across most neighborhoods and price points, said David Walker, CEO of real estate brokerage, The Agency. Okay, and he goes all the way from here to Hudson County to the Hamptons, Westchester, right? Jumping ahead of your competition is a smart strategy. And that's why you need, of course, you got to plug yourself in there. It's what we help buyers do. You'll see unlisted properties tailored to your target neighborhood, budget, size, and type that no one else is seeing. This is from people that have been in the industry for a long time. They know the tips and tricks, and this is it's life. It's real estate life. And of course, there's going to be people that's going to ghost you. There's a lot of phone tag. You just got to stay diligent. When the opportunity comes, you don't necessarily have to swing at the first opportunity, but you definitely have to scrutinize it and see that, if it fits your criteria all the way. It may be it, but there's several other options that may be available. Just gotta ask the right questions, and you also keep a good rapport. What's the difference between a pre-market listing and a whisper listing? A pre-market listing is simply a property that is not yet listed or publicly available for purchase, explains David. Unlike so-called pocket or whisper listings, where a broker has an exclusive agreement with the seller but hasn't publicly listed it, so you're not going to see it readily available on Street EC and Zillow. It just may be MLS, ready to go. And when you do find it, it's going to be with the, indicative of the search that you put in. Okay. But hasn't publicly listed it, and instead quietly marketing it to a select pool of buyers. Pre-market listings are not in the hands of a specific broker. Okay, and then you also have those by owners, and this is the ones that we, try to talk to, get it negotiated. There's a lot of price drops that goes on. There's a lot that are taken off the market because of, maybe a poor marketing experience, or they wanted to go back and check the numbers again and, re-enter it on a later date. Plenty of different options and plenty of different circumstances. And this is why, again, an agent or a broker is very necessary. It's like going to get a haircut. Sure, you can cut the hair on your own, but when you get somebody else's perspective, they're able to see angles you don't see. You're able to use a different skill set and also different tools to make sure you look the best you can when you come out the chair. All right, I just wanted to share that right there. I'll have another one coming up that's going to talk about, definitely what's available right now, the increase of inventory, where do we go from here with the rental positions, and just to keep you informed and enlightened on what the whole real estate atmosphere is right now. Like I said, 6.84% mortgage rate for a 30-year mortgage. You're doing pretty good. We're in a buyer's type market. I've seen a lot of buyers coming out, and if you like to work with me as well as the brokerage that I'm with, which is very good, lots of talented people, they're in the know, and they're also getting great inventory listed. Now's the time in the New York City area and abroad. We'll work with that as well, depending on your circumstances or what you're looking for. I am C. Chambers. This is the Sunspot Living. I thank you very much. Look forward to working with you, and use the keys of communication to open doors to opportunity. Be well.